Hello, I'm Mitra Sorrells in the PhocusWire studio with Wendy Ward of UATP. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you, Mitra. Glad to be here.
So, we are certainly seeing a lot of focus on payments in the travel industry. Why do you think there is such intensity now? And why has it taken so long for there to be that attention?
Yeah, so very good question. I think the last 5 years you have seen more movement in payments than we had for like the preceding 10 leading up to it.
Yeah.
And it used to be a have to have. Like you had to accept payments, so it was a cost of doing business. It wasn't a strategic focus. And now everyone in our network, and even here at the event, it's truly a strategy now. So you're talking about payment strategy. How do you optimize payments? What forms of payment do you need? Because it also used to be that there was checks, there was cash,
right,
and there was credit. And now you've got hundreds and hundreds of different forms of payment that are really driving the change. And I think you see a lot of it too from a consumer oriented that's affecting us on the B2B side, because that journey, that customer experience, I want to pay with my form of payment, what I want to pay with, is driving merchants and issuers to say, okay, what else is out there? Buy now, pay later, account to account. We've heard at the event, stable coins,
Yeah.
It's all encompassing now. And so it's not just the easy, okay, I have to have a credit card that I accept. Now it's, okay, I've got 300 that I might need to accept, but how do I do that? And so that's where payment strategy really comes in. And it's influencing across the board.
Yeah, because it becomes a way to differentiate and to really serve your customers then, right? If you're
Absolutely.
Providing what they want. So.
You look at, I know Phocuswright has done some research on this as well, but cart abandonment in the airline space and the hospitality is the highest percentile than even over retail and electronics. And so it used to be a way to fix cart abandonment. Now it's, how do I even bring in more customers?
Yeah. And so when we're talking about payments, of course, then, a subtopic in effect is that everyone's talking about technology's impact on payments. What would you say are the main things that those across the industry should be looking for as they're thinking about that?
Yeah, so it's great to see that almost every session I've gone to here, payment has come up.
Yeah.
And it used to be our tech stack. Now you're hearing payment tech stack. And why is that important? Again, it goes back to optimizing, but the things to really look for is the right provider, the right partner, because payment technology is not easy. It's very complex. And you have a lot of new entrants that have come in, either from the retail side or gaming, saying, ooh, I want to get into the travel space. There's revenue there. It's an opportunity, billions of dollars. But then they get in and they don't really understand all the intricacies.
Yeah.
So the first thing would be, what is the consumer demand? And what's the B2B demand? Who's my partner? What forms of payment do I want to take? You look at what used to be a buzzword a couple of years ago, payment orchestration.
Right.
Now it's a norm. It was on stage all day yesterday.
Yeah.
And even a lot of the vendors out here are payment providers.
Yeah.
That shows the importance. And it really is about that convergence of technology and payment, and how do you optimize it? Is it a multi-acquire strategy? Do I accept 300 forms of payment? Do I go through an orchestrator?
Right.
And that technology layer has become very, very important.
And so I heard you just say the word convergence. So talk a bit more about that. How would you say that UATP is set up to manage that and handle that?
Yep. So we've been in the space. Next year will be 90 years.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So it's like, we've really become like a more of a fintech startup phase as well.
Yeah.
Because we looked internally and said, okay, is our payment tech stack where it needs to be? And we have completely optimized our space. We have 3 different patents that we've gotten, and we are able to process alternative forms of payment, alternate payment methods, however you want to talk about it. We're doing also UATP1. We're a PSP. We're working with acquirers there. And then our history of being a charge card.
Right.
And it's really knowing that space and making our technology even better. And we've got a whole brand new unit, the UATP1 space, that we're building out that IT even more. So it's a really, really great time to watch UATP, because it's going to be a very different company in a matter of a short amount of time.
So that's really fascinating to me. 90 years.
Yeah.
Clearly there's been a lot of evolution over those many, many decades. What would you say, you've touched on it a bit, but what would you say then really is next on the horizon?
So like I mentioned, we have, 3 unique lines of business now. And what we're doing is trying to look at our network. We're in a very unique situation. There's not a lot of card networks in the world. How do we optimize that? What's our next focus? Is it, vertical hopping? We're very well known in the travel industry space, but we took the most complex vertical and have mastered it.
Yeah.
And so for us to vertical hop, it's going to be much easier. And so it's obviously things that we're looking at there. What else is in the B2B space? I mean, some of the conversations I've had the last couple of days, whether it's, not so much airlines here, but it's excursions, it's ground, it's everything is now actually looking at payment.
Yeah.
And so our statement is always, if you have a payment need, regardless of what it is, come talk to UATP because we'll solve it. And if we can't solve it, we're going to tell you so and say, you know what, here's a partner you might want to look at. And I think you're really starting to see like what was a small payment world. There's a lot more providers now, but we all have to work together. And there's space in between. And even here, like some of the conversations, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's something we can do for you. But then I talked to my colleagues and we're like, you know what? We've got a solution. And so it's really interesting to see like this huge focus on payment and how UATP can solve that.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting space. And I just watch for announcements coming out from UATP.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's super interesting. Like I said, to have that history and yet still be kind of reinventing yourself for the new era is certainly.
It's 100% because you look at things like acquirers, everything used to be batch processing.
Right.
Now it's API calls, and the API calls are becoming a standard. So those that historically are only doing batches are going to get lost.
Yeah.
And so these are things that now UATP does standard. It's all API calls. And so our technology keeps getting better and better and better, even though we've been around for 90 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, great to talk to you. Wendy Ward from UATP. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.